prices? Nobody.
The name you can depend on. Phelps Chevrolet.
Get you one.
This is John Gavigan with the Gavigan Agency. Our top priority is doing what is best for our members. Whether you are buying a new vehicle, a new home, protecting your family with life insurance, or filing a claim, our agency will be there every step of the way. Our goal is to become a trusted advisor for you and your family for all of your personal and commercial insurance needs. Give us a call in Greenville at 756-1400 for a car, home, business, or life insurance quote today, and give us the opportunity to show you the benefits of doing business with someone who cares.
Do you have any real estate questions about buying or selling residential or commercial properties? Are you curious about this current real estate market? Do you need a property manager for all your rental houses? This is proud ECU alum Scott Harris with RE/MAX Preferred Realty and SD Harris Properties, and I would love to help answer every question you have and show you a real estate experience that will be memorable and enjoyable. Every step of the way, I'm here to make your dreams a stress-free reality. Call me today at 347-1857. That's 347-1857. Go Pirates.
This is Pirate Radio, WGHB Farmville, 1250 and 92.7 FM Greenville, WDLX Washington, 930 and 104.1 FM Washington. The following is an exclusive presentation of Pirate Radio, the voice of the pirate nation. This is Eastern Carolina's longest-running sports radio show. The Brian Bailey Show is on the air. The Brian Bailey Show is powered by Greenville Utilities and also brought to you by
The Angus Grill, Bostic Sugg, Bojangles, East Coast Grading, Gavigan Insurance, Greenville Auto World, Papa John's, Greenville Utility Company, Pepsi, The Rick House, Taft and Hagler, and Tiebreakers.
And now, here's Brian Bailey.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into our show. Great to be back with you after a couple of weeks off, and we're going to talk Pirate football for the next hour. East Carolina, of course, struggling at 1-5, hosting Charlotte coming up for homecoming at 2 o'clock on Saturday at Dowdy Ficklin Stadium. Defensive tackles coach Roy Tesh is going to join us to help preview that matchup. Take a look back at the SMU loss, 31-10 for East Carolina in the Thursday night special, the blackout special at ECU. But Coach Tesh is ready to go, and we'll join him after this.
It's hard to forget how hot it gets around here in the summer. Remember, the hotter it is outside, the harder your AC has to work to keep it cool inside. And the more energy it uses to keep you cool, the higher your utility bill will be. Your neighbors at GUC have tips to help you reduce your energy use, such as using fans to cool you down inside and cooking outside when you can in the summer. For more tips, go to GUC.com and look for ways to save.
It's bow time. Chicken or biscuits? That's an impossible choice. How can you decide between Bojangles' perfectly crispy, boldly seasoned chicken or their fluffy, made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuits? Well, the good news is you don't have to. With a Cajun chicken filet biscuit, you get the best of both worlds. An all-white meat chicken breast marinated with a bold blend of seasonings and served up on a fluffy, golden buttermilk biscuit. When it comes to real-deal Southern flavor, there's no reason you can't have it all. Order a Cajun chicken filet biscuit today. It's bow time.
It's Bostic Sugg Furniture's big anniversary blowout, and we're celebrating it in style with huge anniversary savings on hundreds of items in stock, plus 6 months special financing. Experience the most restful, rejuvenating sleep ever on a comfortable mattress at a very comfortable price with up to 48 months special financing. Plus, in celebration of our 8 decades in business, register for over 8 anniversary giveaways during the big anniversary blowout at Bostic Sugg Furniture.
The Angus Grill is your premier spot for the best burgers, cheesesteaks, and brisket sandwiches around. Join us for our unmatched variety of burger combinations, from the mushroom bacon Swiss burger to the jalapeno popper burger to the original Angus classic. Pair that burger with our amazing onion rings, tots, fries, or sweet potato fries. Angus Grill, with 4 amazing locations in eastern North Carolina, including Winterville near Pitt Community College, on Jarvis Street in uptown Greenville, and on Statensburg Road near the hospital. It's the best burger around, guaranteed.
I'm Michael Vaughn with East Coast Grading and Utilities. Many of you know my dad, David Vaughn, and his work in putting in subdivisions all over Pirate Nation. But East Coast Grading and Utilities is not just for those type of big jobs. We're here for the homeowners. Whether it's concrete, driveways, hauling rock, or sand, whatever you need, East Coast Grading and Utilities can get the job done. Call us at 252-531-7494 or check us out on Facebook at East Coast Grading and Utilities.
Attention athletes and fans. Tiebreakers is looking for all-stars. Do you know an athlete who made a game-winning play, scored an amazing touchdown, or hit a huge home run? We're scouting Eastern North Carolina for this month's most outstanding athlete. Go to tiebreakersathlete.com to nominate your favorite player for the prestigious Athlete of the Month award. Tiebreakers, shining a light on the athletes that make Eastern North Carolina proud. Submit your nomination now at tiebreakersathlete.com.
Hey everybody, this is David Glenn, and you're listening to my favorite station in Eastern North Carolina, Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, working for our community, not for shareholders. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back on this Monday. Roy Tesh, defensive tackles coach, is our guest, live from his office over at East Carolina. Coach, I know this is not the season you guys had wanted. What's the mood over there right now?
Guys are ready back here and, getting back in the locker room, getting ready to go back to work again today. They've got a big game plan day today for the coaches, and everything pointed back in the direction to get this thing going where it needs to go.
That's what I've always said when things go south on seasons, and every season can't be a great season, but when you're having a tough time of things, fans want to jump on board and the turmoil, but it seems to me like the guys that want to turn this thing around the most are always the coaches and the players, and I think that's what we're seeing right now, isn't it?
Yes, sir. I mean, I don't think there's a group, any stronger group in the country that wants to turn it around more than the people that are in the locker room. And those players, I talk to the other coaches all the time, tell them our players are some of the greatest kids around. They pick us up. They're ready to get back to work. They come in here with their hard hat and their lunch pail, and they're ready to go. So we're looking forward to getting another opportunity this week.
Pirates fall 31-10 on Thursday night in the Blackout Special. Before we talk about that very much, but just what did you think of the atmosphere, the Thursday night special, the Blackout, that kind of thing?
Well, everything, when you do a Thursday night game, that boneyard down there is rocking. And
yeah.
Have the stadium going the way it was going. The atmosphere is electric. It's a fun atmosphere to be in. Our players feed off of it, get excited about it. So you can't replace it. It was just an awesome deal.
And, it was a familiar script. I mean, you guys are right there in the game until late, and then it kind of goes south late. How frustrating is that for you and for these players?
Well, I think we've got to finish, and everyone's, understands that, and we're pushing forward to make the changes and adjustments we need to do that. And, finishing is something that we're focused on. Coach at Houston has changed some things in practice throughout, the last couple of weeks to focus on that, just the way we've attacked some different things in things that we're doing to prepare, and, everybody's on the same page. That's what we've got to do there.
Roy Tesh, defensive tackles coach, joining us from his office over at East Carolina. The Thursday night games play, and then you guys get a couple of days off. How beneficial will that be as you get back to work on this Monday?
Well, for the players to be able to take a breather is probably really good. Now, the coaches were on the road recruiting,
right?
So we left out, and we got back some late hours there, several of us. But it was good for the guys to be able to rest their legs a little bit, be able to focus in on some academic things that they had to handle, and then get refocused for this week.
When you look at Charlotte also comes in at 1-5. I had a chance to watch most of the Navy game, and really, I came away with a couple of thoughts. And one of them, Navy doesn't look like the Navy of old to me. Charlotte really struggled offensively. Maybe they played pretty well defensively against the Navy. It's not really the Navy option we're used to. It's a little bit different. Kind of beneficial for you guys because those are two teams on your schedule coming up.
They are, and right now we're focused on Charlotte,
right,
and what they do, and they've had two quarterbacks they're playing. One guy is more an athletic type kid, the other one is more of a pocket presence type guy. They got one of the biggest offensive lines we'll see all year, with transfers across the board and speed guys as well. So they've got plenty of weapons. Coach Pogge over there has done a great job of getting the right pieces. And, you know, I'm sure that they'll have it pointed in the right direction when they get here.
And he's got it. He took much of the blame for their loss on social media. That was making the rounds over the weekend. But really, when you look at this Charlotte team, it's going to become, you know, the rivalry for East Carolina in the American, you know, years going forward.
You know, every week in the American is a barn burner. And then those guys, you know, obviously they're in the state there, and you know, for us to we compete against them in recruiting a little bit, and we'll continue to do so as we move forward. But right now it's the next game, and it's the most important game because it's the next game.
This is the fifth time you've had a chance to work with Coach Houston, working with him at Brevard, Lenore-Ryan, Citadel, JMU, now at East Carolina. Take us back to those days at Brevard. What was Mike Houston like there? What was your relationship like there? That was several years ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as white back then in those days. But Coach was the defensive coordinator at Brevard College, and I was the defensive line coach there. I would say that he was probably extremely similar in how he attacks, you know, coaching here as far as a mindset. Coaching very aggressive, be very aggressive in his play calling and everything that he does. You know, we've all, I mean, that might near 20 years ago. So we've all grown since then. We've all learned, learned from good, learned from bad. But I think he was probably pretty similar in how he attacked everything.
And I would say that really when you follow a coach that many times, obviously you put your trust, but you also put your family's trust. I mean, what the average fan I don't think understands is when you make a move in this business as an assistant coach, I mean, you're basically betting your life on that particular coach because you want him to succeed, because you want to succeed with him, and you've been able to do it at jumps at Lenore-Ryan, Citadel, Madison, and then here at East Carolina. But really, that's how an assistant coach has to look at it, isn't it?
The trust factor is huge, and I believe in Mike Houston, and have been a lot of places with him, so I know who he is as a person. I obviously know what kind of program he runs and what his thoughts are on how to do things before he has to say them. But the trust factor of knowing somebody, to me, I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself. Trust is huge for me, and I trust Mike. Coach he does it the right way. I trust him to treat me right. I trust him to treat my family right. And that's, why I've chosen to be with him so long.
When you look at him right now, obviously he's upset with this 1-5 record. Do you see anything different, or do you see the same determination to get this thing turned around?
He's the same person, the same determination to get this thing going in the right direction. And I think he's a catalyst for us when we come in. When you win a game, you come in, you look at the tape, you figure out what's good, what do we need to capitalize on, what's bad, what do we need to fix, and then you move on. And he's doing the same thing week in and week out, win or lose. You got to fix the things that need to be fixed. You got to capitalize on the things you're doing well, and you got to move on to the next one. So I think he's doing a great job of that.
Fast forward us now. You're at James Madison. You hear the rumors that Coach, first of all, it was Charlotte that was after Coach Houston, and then East Carolina got into the picture. What were your first thoughts about coming to Greenville, North Carolina to follow Coach at East Carolina?
Well, it was an opportunity. I grew up in the state of North Carolina. I knew about East Carolina football, and had actually made a recruiting trip 100 years ago out here to watch a game, and it was just an exciting time to be able to have the opportunity to come with Coach again and be able to embark on another journey and get something going.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that, there were so many on that staff that already had East Carolina ties, like Coach Shankweiler, Coach Kirkpatrick, Dale Steele. So all of those guys already knew a little bit about East Carolina and probably shared that with Coach Houston. You were on the outside as far as East Carolina goes, but you were quick to make the trip as well.
Well, I promise you this: there were a lot of stories when you get to Shankweiler and Coach Kirkpatrick and Coach Steele. Now they can tell you some stories because they've been through a lot of stuff, and it was all they all three. They loved this place when they were talking about it, and you could tell that it was an exciting time for them to be able to come back and to be able to be a part of that. It's just been a blessing to me and my family.
Roy Tesh, defensive tackles coach. Before we start talking about your room and some of the efforts you guys have made, let's talk about a little bit about your football career. And I think I've asked you about this before, but baffled to hear that you're actually a defensive lineman and fullback for the Carolina Ghost Riders in the AIF. I don't know what the AIFL was, but you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm not sure I knew what it was when I was. It was I guess a minor league, arena league team there that I played a season with and was actually coaching football. The seasons are opposite, so I was coaching at Greensboro College in my first year there, and we didn't have spring practice at Division III, so I was running the campus mail room and playing arena football in the springtime.
What was it like playing arena football? Where did you guys play your home games?
Well, we didn't play any home games. We were traveling. So we were based out of Greensboro, and we went all over everywhere. We went halfway to Canada one time to play a game. We're up in Erie, Pennsylvania. But it was an interesting deal. It was. I don't know that I would tell my son to do what I did there. But it's something I can tell people about, I guess.
Do you still have your Ghost Riders jersey?
No, sir.
I think that would be. What were the colors?
It's been so long ago, I don't remember.
Wow, how about that? I gotta Google that later. The Carolina Ghost Riders of the AIFL. Roy Tesh, defensive tackles coach, joining us. We'll take our commercial break right now. We'll come back with Coach Tesh. We'll go down through his room, talk about some of his defensive tackles as our show continues after this.
This is a Pirate Radio Sports Break presented by Ron Ayers Motorsports, Highway 11 north of the airport in Greenville. It was the Commanders over the Falcons 24-16 yesterday in the NFL. The Dolphins beat up on the Panthers 42-21. The Colts lose to the Jaguars 37-20. Zay Jones did not play for Jacksonville. Gardner Minshew threw for 329 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. And it's Monday Night Football tonight. The Chargers host the Cowboys. You can hear the game right here on Pirate Radio beginning at 7:30. In the Canadian Football League, it was the Montreal Alouettes over the Edmonton Elks Saturday, 35-21. Tyler Snead had 4 receptions for 69 yards, and the Toronto Argonauts beat the Ottawa Redblacks 40-27 on Saturday as well. Former Pirate Justin Hardy had 5 receptions for 98 yards. And it's the National League Championship Series, Game 1. The Phillies host the Diamondbacks. First pitch is scheduled for 8:07. This has been a Pirate Radio Sports Break. I'm Shirley Rhodes.
We are talking with the legendary Greg Lassiter, championsofgreenville.com. And I say that because very few businesses last 10 years, 20 years. You're getting ready to celebrate your 40th year at Champions Health and Fitness.
This next coming July will make 40 years. I started out in Aden with 3 pieces of equipment and didn't even have a bathroom for people to use, so it's come a long ways.
Champions Health and Fitness. Give the address and the phone number.
4190 Bayswater Drive, Winterville, North Carolina. Our phone number is 353-0544.
You can find Champions right behind the Fire Tower on Fire Tower Road. Champions Health and Fitness.
I'm Donald Stocks, owner of PIP Marketing Signs Print. We are your one-stop shop for just about anything printed. If we're not your go-to printer, please give us a call at 355-1636. We have over 80 5-star Google reviews and want you to be our next more than satisfied and well-pleased customer. Check us out at growatpip.com or stop in to see us at 3185 Mosley Drive in Greenville. PIP, where business goes to grow.
I'm Caleb Stroud, the founder of Stroud's Marine. I grew up on the water and I've loved boating my entire life. In 2012, I decided to give back to the marine community by creating a way for boaters to order pre-owned salvage marine parts online. Stroud's Marine was born to offer incredible prices and unparalleled customer service. We stand behind every part we sell, and our mission is to save you money and get you back on the water as quickly as possible. Visit StroudsMarine.com today for more information. Stroud's Marine, your best source for salvage outboard parts.
Chico's Mexican Restaurant in downtown Greenville is the perfect place to get all your amigos together for some Mexican food, fun, and football. Chico's has been a game day tradition for Pirate football fans since 1983. Whether the game is home or away, make it a Chico's Day for some great specials and the best chips and salsa in town. Chico's Mexican Restaurant in downtown Greenville and online at chicosrestaurant.com. Go Pirates!
What's up? This is Bryson Worrell, and you're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities. Community-owned utilities mean local control, low rates, and high reliability. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back on this Monday. East Carolina and Charlotte, 2 o'clock kickoff for homecoming. And homecoming, always a special time. And East Carolina fans come back. And obviously, again, it's not the season that Pirate fans wanted, but it's 1-5. It is what it is. And it's a chance to start that turnaround with homecoming coming up this week in that 2 o'clock kickoff. The Bud Light pregame tailgate kicks off at, I believe, 10 a.m. if my math is correct. And the boys will be ready and fired up to go for homecoming. Coach Tesh, when you think back to homecoming games, do you get a little bit excited about that?
You know, a lot of times I played a lot of homecoming games over the years, and I've always been busy during those things. I guess when I was a player, it meant a lot. When you're a coach, it's really the next game, and that's what you're focused in on. But it's always a special atmosphere surrounding the game that the fans get to enjoy and that the players will take in. So it's always a special time.
And really, when you look at a struggling season like this is when you really need the fans to come out. This is when the guys need to really see that, hey, these people are behind us no matter what happens. And I think it's a big chance, especially for homecoming, for the Pirate fans to come out and show their support for this East Carolina football team that has been in just about every game this season. I mean, you can't look at it like it's been blowout central, because it hasn't. It's just one of those matters that sometimes, and you've probably seen this in coaching before, sometimes it just takes a little bit more to get over that hump, doesn't it?
Our players feed off of our fan base. When the stadium's rocking, they play harder and harder, and they love it. And it's a big part of who East Carolina is, that fan base. So our players really, really, really love feeding off that excitement that comes from it.
Coaching the defensive tackles like you are, what's it like to have such a small room?
Well, we got a small room, but we got a lot of large humans in it.
I was going to say.
So we actually meet in one of the bigger meeting rooms, so we can have the space to spread out a little bit. But you know, those guys they're great young men. They really are, and they've been here. We're one of the older groups on the team. They came in. The majority of the young men that are playing for us in there came in together during the pandemic and did things the hard way for a while. And that's why, you know, they're as eager as anyone to get out there and get to work every day to try to get this thing pointed back to where we need to have it going.
Got a little update for the next game, Texas San Antonio. That kickoff will be at 3:30, so it'll be East Carolina at UTSA, and that will be a 3:30 kickoff. That announcement just coming through. When you look at this, at the room that you have and the talent that you have in that room, I know that there's been a lot of talk. Some coaches have quit going to a depth chart because so many people play just about the same number of reps, and I think Coach Houston has gone away from a depth chart. Do you like the fact that you don't have to worry about putting somebody in the first slot and the second slot because all these guys pretty much play the same?
Well, it's kind of, we have this discussion all the time, and you said, okay, this guy will run off the sideline first, but you may look up with how many people we substitute, especially in that defensive tackles room. I get accused of being a hockey coach all the time. You may look up, and the third guy off the bench is the one holding the line on the goal line. You know, and you never know when your first opportunity is going to be. There's several of those young men whose first opportunity to be able to play college football was against highly ranked teams in high pressure situations, and you know, they've got to be able to go in there. They've got to operate. So we talk about it all the time. Joke next man up. We'll flip coin. You know, we'll play paper rock scissors, see who runs out on the field first. And some of that's dictated by the offense and the tempo they're playing, and you know, how fast they're moving and who we've got to move to be able to slow them down a little bit.
You got to feel like a hockey coach with the line changes here and there, right?
Oh, yes, sir. That happens all the time. And we're blessed to be able to have so many guys that can function and can operate and can play at a high level, that we can rotate as many as we do to, one, keep them fresh, two, but to make sure that we've got the right people in the right spots to get the job done.
All right, take us through your room a little bit. Let's start at the nose tackle position with Deontay Johnson.
And so Deontay is the life of the room. He is a big smile on his face everywhere he goes at all times. I've maybe seen him frown twice since he's been here. But when he gets to work now, he's a lunch pail young man. I mean, he puts his hard hat on. He's a very twitchy guy at the line of scrimmage, very sudden, very powerful young man, straight ahead, does a great job in the run game for us, and has really become a leader in that room and for our football team. So great young man.
How important is it to have a guy like that has a smile on his face to be a leader on that defensive line?
Well, I think it's huge, and I think it's each one of those young men in there has something different they bring to the table. Deontay is that magnetic personality, and when you've got a guy like that who does things the right way, it tends to draw others, to doing things the right way. And you may have a guy that might be a little rough around the edges, but Deontay can say, hey, look, Big John talks about it in the weight room, bring one with you all the time. Deontay can say, hey, look, here's how we do things. Here's one thing you need to be focused on. And, his personality and his smile will get that young man to follow him. So it's invaluable from a leadership standpoint.
And behind him at the nose tackle position, talk about some of those guys.
So Big Jason Shuford has been here. He came in with Deontay there. He's been playing well for us. He's actually very involved in the special teams, which is not something that you say a lot for a guy that's as big as he is. He's our biggest defensive tackle. But is doing really, really well for us on the special teams unit as well, and has become a guy that has gotten exponentially better throughout his career. Really, this summer, really turned the corner there and into fall camp, and has been playing really well for us. And then also we've had Xavier McIver, who's been here as long as those guys as well. Zay played a good bit and then got dinged up in fall camp, and has since come back on and had a really, really good week of practice last week and played for us in the game this past Saturday.
And then as part of the defensive scheme, you have the nose tackle position, you have the defensive tackle position, Surad Ware and Elijah Morrison, some of those guys, right?
Yes, sir. Surad, Elijah, and C.J. Mims is the third guy in there that has really been doing a decent job for us this fall. Those guys, that defensive tackle position in our defense can ask you to do a myriad of things. You could be an A-gap defender on one snap and a 5-technique boundary defensive end on the very next snap. So they've got to be very athletic. They've got to be tough enough to play in the A-gap and fast enough to play on the edge, and that's a unique position for us in this defense, and those guys have been able to do that so far for us.
And that is a unique position. Talk about the other side is more of a rush in, Jeremy Lewis and some of those guys. So there's a big difference there.
No, there is. The rush in, Jeremy and Jack and those guys are stand-up, hybrid linebacker type guys that can rush the passer, bend the corner on the edge, and they're speed guys. The boundary, the defensive tackle, we don't call him a boundary end because you look around, we got so many guys that run, you might have 3,000 ends on the field at one time. So we call them a tackle, but they've got to be able to be stocky enough and run discipline enough to be able to hold an A-gap against a double team where those ends or those rush ends, they're more in space linebacker type bodies. So they're unique, but everybody's position is a little bit out there on that field.
All right, let's go through your defensive tackle. Start with Ware a little bit because he's had a good year.
He has. He's playing a lot of snaps for us. He got dinged up last year and really came on early last year and then had some ankle trouble and fell off a little bit, but really responded over the summertime and just excited to be out there, and being able to play again. And he's had some success. Being able to get there off the edge a little bit and then being pretty formidable in the B-gap down in there in our base packages and things like that. So he's a hybrid as far as our room. He's probably, with Deontay's the big smile and magnetic personality. Surad's a little bit more reserved, a little bit more of a tough guy down there in that B gap, and he's really had a really good fall doing that.
Big number 90, Elijah Morris. He came on with a flurry his first year. It seemed like his first year at East Carolina, he recovered like 12 fumbles. I mean, he was always around the football.
He's a ball magnet.
Yeah, exactly.
Wherever it bounced on the ground, there was number. Well, I think he was 60 the first year. We pick on him all the time. We said we didn't know his name. We just called him by his number.
Yeah.
But he had a nose for the football as a young player and has continued to do that. And we thought it was just a thing where it was, he would find it when it was on the ground. And what it really was is he just plays as hard as anyone. So he's around the ball. So if you throw it outside the numbers, he's going to chase it out there. If it's in the A gap where he's supposed to be, he's going to be in there finding it. And just the level at which he plays and how he plays the game. We talk about that all the time in our room. It's not what we do, it's how we do it. And he's really the epitome of that.
And then you got C.J. Mims. What has he brought to the ball club?
You know what? He is bigger than some of the older guys, but has the ability to run as well as some of them. So he's as big as a nose and has actually played some nose guard for us this fall, and has the athletic ability to be able to roll out there on that edge if we need him to and survive. He gets better every time he plays. Every time he goes out there and he lines down, there's something, and there's no replacement for playing in a football game. For as far as the defensive tackles are concerned, and every time he gets out there, he gets a little bit better. He learns something different, whether it's something he did good or something he did bad. He's always learning, and he's progressing very, very well.
What about some of the younger players in your room that maybe redshirting, or maybe we may see later on in the season?
Well, we've got a crew of young men that have come in that are all freshmen, a couple of walk-on guys. That have, that are out there battling it out right now. And with everything else, they're trying to learn the game of college football, what it takes physically. Some of those guys, there's a shock to the system. We asked one of them, I remember asking, JD's playing a little bit of end for us now, but when JD Lampley was young, I said, JD, what's the biggest difference between here and Richmond County? And all he said was fast. Just one word, fast. And I was like, so the young guys right now, are learning the game and trying to keep up with the speed of it, learning the physicality, and really they're learning multiple positions because they're used to coming from a situation in high school, like Kyler Puckett there from Southwest Guilford. He's used to playing nose guard. Well, now he's playing 3 technique, nose guard, A gap, and a little bit of 5 technique. So he's learning all those positions and trying to figure out our scheme and keep up with the speed of the game as well. So it's a whirlwind for some of those guys right now.
Do you see a plan that some of those guys may get to see some action as we go further in the season?
Well, it's tough in our room, and the reason for that is we have a good stack. We're 6 deep when it comes to bodies in the defensive tackles room that are playing in normal down situations right now. So, when you start getting into the 8th and 9th guys, you never know. You never say never, but there's a lot of work that's got to go in to be able to put yourself where you're functional. And, we had this situation a little bit even with Elijah Morris in the last game or the game before against Rice. He got dinged up, and then he was back and ready to go, but not necessarily being available and the best option because of how many guys we have in the room. Sometimes those can be 2 different things. So I think you never say never, but you never know. It'll be interesting to see how the season unfolds.
East Carolina defensive tackles coach Roy Tesh joining us on this Monday. We're going to take another commercial break. We'll come back, and then we'll wrap things up with Coach Tesh. It's a big game planning Monday for all the assistant coaches. So we'll come back. We'll wrap things up. We'll talk about the Charlotte 49ers. Get you ready for a homecoming from Coach Tesh after this.
Do you want to go to the next ECU home game for free? Well, stop by Greenville Auto World and register to win tickets to see the Pirates play. Greenville Auto World has supported the Pirates for 47 years and will be drawing for free ticket winners weekly. Need an oil change or new tires? Remember Greenville Auto World for all of your vehicle service needs. And if you're shopping for something new, visit driveherenow.com for the best selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs. Greenville Auto World. Pirates supporting Pirates.
The Rick House is Eastern North Carolina Carolina's premier American-styled restaurant and bar, and there's always something special happening at the Rick House. Join us for lunch. It's our 2 for $20 lunch special during the week, and it's the perfect spot for that lunch business meeting. The Rick House celebrates the last Thursday of every month with a special wine tasting, and our buffet brunch is to die for. Follow the Rick House on Facebook for the latest schedule. The Rick House, American Provisions and Spirits, 710 Red Banks Road beside the bowling alley in Greenville. The Rick House.
Hey Miles, isn't it amazing to think our family has been distributing soft drinks since 1923?
It certainly is, Landon, and with that comes a lot of change. But what hasn't changed is our dedication and commitment to our customers. I'm Miles Minges.
And I'm Landon Minges with Minges Bottling Group. Our family has taken great pride in refreshing our neighbors, and we are proud to have remained locally owned and operated for over a century. From our family to yours, we say thank you and are honored to be a part of this wonderful community.
Here's to 100 as we celebrate our employees and our customers all over Eastern North Carolina. From generations before us and to future generations.
Cheers to the next 100 years. Cheers to the next 100 years.
My whole business just went up in flames, but my agent was there before the fire was out. We started a plan. I've got 25 employees who could be out of a job if we didn't get this place running again. My independent agent and auto owners insurance, they made sure we didn't skip a beat. I mean, we didn't miss a single payroll. That's incredible.
For whatever lies ahead, we're always there.
This is Jeff Gibson with Town Insurance in Greenville. Call me today at 756-8300. Go Pirates!
When you walk through the doors of Villa Verde, you'll experience the sights, sounds, and smells of authentic Dominican flavors. This is Jay from Villa Verde, inviting you to come by this summer and try one of our amazing empanadas. Our famous red snappers, grouper bites, seafood paella, Cuban sandwiches, and much, much more. Relax on the patio with a fresh mojito or a cold beer while enjoying one of our out-of-this-world desserts, like our rum pineapple cake or our famous tres leches. Villa Verde on 10th Street, a platform for good, and a proud supporter of the Pirate Nation.
This is Dale Murphy, 2-time National League MVP and number 3 with the Atlanta Braves. And you're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities. Community owned, community powered. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back on this Monday as we wrap things up with Roy Tesh, defensive tackles coach at East Carolina. Coach, before you were doing the linebackers, bandits, that kind of thing, what's the big difference for you as an assistant coach to working with the big guys on the line?
Well, you know, they're a different crew. You know, the big guys up front, I played offensive line when I was in college, and there's just something different about putting your hand on the ground. When you're down there in those trenches, there's a different kind of toughness. There's a different kind of demeanor. There's a different kind of pride and that you take in yourself for what you do, more so than when you're a skill guy out there on the edge. It's a little bit different world. Confidence is a big deal out there on the edges, you know, when you're coaching those DB type guys, which is what the Bandit was a couple of years ago when I was back there doing that. So it's a little different, you know, but at the end of the day, it's the same kind of mentality. Here's the job that's got to be done. Here's how we get the job done. Let's go find a way to get the job done and then go from there.
And also special teams. I know you came originally as special teams coordinator. Now it's kind of like a group effort for special teams, isn't it?
Well, it's always been kind of a group effort because even the first year when I was the special teams coordinator, I was in charge of all 4 special teams, but I didn't coach all 4 special teams by myself. And that's still the case. Even Coach Doust here, you know, you don't coach those things by yourself. The coaches, the assistant coaches are out there and they're helping you. There's eyes everywhere, eyes on certain guys. You know, and if you get too spread thin, sometimes you're not as detailed. So to have as many guys as we are involved in special teams really, really helps. get the guys pointed in the right direction to get the job done we need to get done.
And there's always been that catch-22, I guess, of using starters on special teams. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like to use the first-teamers there? Do you like to have a mix? Do you like to see the guys that aren't playing as much get a chance to go out there and do it? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think there's positives and negatives to both. You got to find the right people, put them in the right spots. And, sometimes that's the starter. Sometimes that's a guy that may be a backup that's fresher than the starter and still does an excellent job of what you're asking him to do within the job and the special team. So I don't think there's a magic formula for it. You want to put the best possible person in the slot. No different than what we kind of talked about before with Elijah. A couple weeks ago, he was ready, but was he the best option? I think you've got to find who the best option is for the job you're trying to get done and make sure that you've got that guy coached up on what he needs to do and get him out there.
Let's get a scouting report now on the 49ers of Charlotte. As we said, it's going to be the rivalry game most likely for East Carolina in the American Athletic Conference. Charlotte in its first year in the AAC. Charlotte comes to town at 1-5, so they're desperate for a win. East Carolina comes into the game at 1-5. They're desperate for a win. It's a 2:00 kickoff. What have you seen on the Charlotte offense so far, Coach, on the film you've seen?
They have some guys that can run. They've got unique packages. They don't mind lining down and trying to run the ball. They can spread the field vertically on you and got some guys that can run very, very good routes. They've got a good number of tight ends out there who they use well within their scheme. And like we talked about before, they've got two different quarterbacks that, one that has got a good pocket presence and the other kid that can really, really run. So they're dangerous and they've got plenty of weapons and they use them.
When you looked at the Navy tape, did you think that Navy played really well defensively, or did you see that Charlotte struggled a little bit executing some of their offensive plans?
You know what? I don't necessarily spend a lot of time looking at Navy and what they're doing until we play Navy. So Navy's defense is very similar to us.
Right.
Obviously, watch that tape very, very closely. But as far as who was playing what, we're focused more right now on what is it that Charlotte's doing and how to adapt to it and how to, attack it with what we do.
And you said that their offensive line is one of the bigger lines that you'll see, right?
They have some large humanoids. They're very, very big. They've got a lot of transfers across that line. I think they're starting 4 transfers right now, and they've got several others that are not starting that have played a little bit. So they have some very, very big, powerful guys that can move fairly decently for their size.
What's it going to take for the Pirates to get a win on Saturday against Charlotte, especially start with your defensive linemen? What do you want to see out of your defensive tackles?
Well, we've got to be us. And what that means to us is we've got to be physical at the point of contact. We've got to limit the yardage in the run game, continue to do that. Once you get them limited in that, then we've got to put pressure on the quarterback, whoever it is back there, and make sure that, if it is the one that can scramble, that we keep him caged in and don't let him run around all over and use his feet to pick up yards.
Hopefully we'll have a nice weather day coming up because the weather, especially today, is just perfect. But hopefully it'll stay that way for East Carolina and Charlotte. Coach Tesh, thanks so much for your time today. I know it's a busy, busy time for you guys. We certainly appreciate talking Pirate football, especially when things aren't going so well, to come on and to talk about the team and talk about the chance to turn this thing around. We certainly appreciate it, and we appreciate your friendship, and thanks so much.
Well, thank you for having me on. Appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate it. Roy Tesh, defensive tackles coach at East Carolina, our guest. We'll take a commercial break right now. We'll come back. We'll bring in the boys and talk a little NFL football to wrap up this edition of the Brian Bailey Show. That's coming up for you right after this.
Papa John's new Garlic Epic Stuffed Crust Pizza is the pizza inspired by our biggest fans. With that garlic flavor you all love.
In it, on it, with it.
Get the new Garlic Epic Stuffed Crust Pizza for $13.99 only at Papa John's.
Hey, Pirate fans, Papa John's is the MVP move for game day or any day. Place your order online at papajohns.com and sign up for Papa Rewards. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza. Go Pirates!
Hey Pirate Nation, I'm head men's basketball coach Mike Schwartz.
And I'm Kim McNeil.
head coach of your defending American Athletic Conference champion women's basketball team.
Basketball season is just around the corner, and we're looking forward to another exciting season on the hardwood.
We need Pirate Nation to Pat Minji's Coliseum by purchasing your season tickets today.
Call 1-800-DIAL-ECU or visit ECUPirates.com to get yours now.
Thanks, and go Pirates.
We started off with Samuel Adams Boston Lager.
That really changed the perception of what an American beer could be. I don't think that guidepost has ever changed. To create a beer for everyone.
Craft for everybody.
We make it easy, right? You pick up any of our beers and they're going to be great. They're going to be delicious.
Beer's original mission was to open the door for people and have everyone have a good time. That's what we're doing today at Sam Adams. We're craft for everybody, and we're really proud of that mission of delivering beers that can bring as many people together as we possibly can.
Built strong and built to last, Kawasaki Mule Side-by-Sides are made to handle the toughest jobs. Whether you're putting in a hard day's work or trail riding on the weekend, Mule Side-by-Sides are built to get it all done with confidence. From the compact Mule SX to the full-size Mule Pro FXT, no matter the task, there's a perfect Mule Side-by-Side to help get the job done. We've stayed authentic to our roots for over 30 years with an uncompromised commitment to performance, capability, and durability. That commitment is captured in 3 words after building a reputation that doesn't waver. When it comes to the capable lineup of Kawasaki Mule Side-by-Sides, those 3 words are trusted, tried, and true. Whether you're looking for a compact or full-size Kawasaki Mule, visit our showroom at Ron Ayers Motorsports, Highway 11 north of the airport in Greenville, or online at ronayersmotorsports.com. On approved credit, see dealer for details.
What do I like about being a local agent for Farm Bureau Insurance? Above all, I like helping people. Using my insurance experience to make Pirate Country a better, safer place. Insurance is a necessity, and I take pride in helping people find the right coverage for all their needs. I'm Brandon Manning. Call me at 252-531-1812 for a quick auto, home, or life insurance quote, and to learn more about Farm Bureau Insurance and how they can save you time and money. That's Brandon Manning at 252-531-1812.
Pirate Radio. The voice of the Pirate Nation.
1, 2, 3,
You're listening to The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, providing reliable utility solutions to the Greenville region since 1905. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. I want to thank Roy Tesh, defensive tackles coach, for being on with us today. He had meetings to get to, so we let him off a few minutes early before we wrap up our show. And just in case you missed it from earlier in the show, the UTSA game coming up a week from Saturday in San Antonio is a 3:30 start. And I know the Pirate faithful will like that because they can get back at a halfway decent time. When you go to Texas and those places out west and you play in those 7, 8 o'clock starts, it makes for a long night getting back. So that's a 3:30 kickoff. East Carolina and UTSA in American Athletic Conference play. Another new team in the American. I got some thoughts on the NFL from this past weekend. Clip Brock's going to join us. Chandler's going to chip in. Let's talk about those Commanders. First of all, congratulations on a big win. You got to like the fact that, as you pointed out several times already today, you'd be 4-2 if you'd beaten the Bears.
Yep, I knew they were going to win Sunday. That is a Ron Rivera special. Lose 3 in a row, get on the hot seat, everybody doubts you, and then he wins a game. So that was written in the stars, Bailey, but it does anger me that if you just show up Thursday night, home game, sellout crowd against the Bears, you're looking at 4-2 right now, and you feel a lot different 4-2 than you do 3-3.
And that was a home game at that Thursday night. That was really rough to watch, the Bears and the Commanders in that one. But the Commanders go down to Atlanta, win that game. The Panthers stayed consistent, didn't they, Chandler?
Yeah, they stayed consistent by not winning. So got off to a good start there in Miami, but here's the sad part. When we got up 14-0, I knew that it wasn't going to last long, and it did not last long. Next thing I know, it was 21-14. So
how do you get that? How do you get down 14-0 and cover a 14-point spread?
Yeah,
the Panthers didn't even cover.
In the NFL, you're thinking right away, 14-0, yeah, you got this. You're thinking. I tell you the one that I was baffled by this weekend, and I've said this before. I play in a pool where you pick against the spread, and it was Colorado, and I was going to take. I thought Colorado was just going to steamroll Stanford. They're just going to roll. So I'm doing touchdown Friday, and it's halftime. I look up, it's 29-0, and I go on the set, and we do touchdown Friday. I come back. I was going to watch the game or listen listened to it on the way home. I forgot about it. I get up in the middle of the night, and I just check scores, and I could not believe that they lost that. It was unbelievable, really.
I was not following it, so I was shocked to see it all transpire.
I watched the whole game, and it was just crazy.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh.
I did.
I saw one, like a 97-yard touchdown pass. The guy ran 95 yards, I think, like a scalded dog, and ran all the way to the end zone.
Number 13 for, let me think who they were playing.
Stanford.
Had like 300 yards receiving.
Yeah.
I mean, and a big part of that was that 97-yard touchdown pass. But, I mean, Colorado just let them kind of ease back into that game, and next thing you know, it's in overtime, and they're taking advantage of it. But that number 13 for the Cardinals, he really went off and helped them propel past Colorado.
I don't know if you guys have seen it, and if we could play it, it'd be hilarious. But the Saturday Night Live skit about Dion, have you seen that?
I have not watched it.
I
saw it was
gosh.
the thing.
You got to see it. The guy, I forget the guy's name, but he's really good on Saturday Night Live.
Keenan Thompson.
Yes, that's who it is.
Well, I did see one part where he was talking about getting called from God. He got the call from God.
This part is he's talking about the game itself, and he said, "Man, it's 29-0. Man, I wouldn't take a nap." It's just the way they pulled it off, and you know, and he's saying all the Dion things about how how great and this and that, and then the guy interviewing him says, "Well, you're 4-3," and then he goes, "Man, got a great offense, defense tries hard." I mean, it's just the way they wrote the skit and the way he delivered it was just absolutely. I had a couple guys send it to me after I'd already seen it. I saw it on TikTok or something, but it was just very, very well done and just absolutely hilarious for what they're going through. And he has done a good job turning the Colorado program around, but they're not quite what they thought they were, are they?
This is crazy. I was listening to a radio show coming into work today, and they said they were talking about the Patriots, and they were saying, well, Belichick's lost it, and he said it's not like he can just turn over the roster like Dion did. We used to say the opposite.
Exactly.
Like college, it's not like you can go to free agency like you can in the NFL. Now the whole thing is flipped, and you have a better chance of changing your team around in college than you do in the pros.
And Dion does so many commercials. How does he have time to do any football coaching? I mean, Aflac and KFC are just two of the ones I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, he's absolutely everywhere. But Saturday Night Live got him, and Saturday Night Live's been a part of my life, most of my life, and they've had great years, and they've had terrible years. But that was really just something to see. It's just funny the way they did it, and they really did a nice job with it. Holton Ahlers got a chance to sign with Seattle late last week. That was good. Back with the Seahawks, man. I haven't talked to him lately, but you got to wonder what goes through his mind every week, because that's got to be – talk about the ultimate yo-yo. I mean, and we all know the NFL is a business, but my boy is seeing it firsthand that the NFL is a business.
Yeah, and a lot of folks don't understand that comment on social media about it. Why are they jerking him around? They don't appreciate him.
Yeah,
it's like it's just part of it. I went by my parents yesterday before the 1 o'clock NFL games, and my mom said, "Who do the Ravens play today?" And I'm like, "Well, I think they're about to finish right now."
Right.
I forgot because she wanted to check on Keaton Mitchell, which I didn't see any of it. Did he do anything?
No, he didn't get any action.
He didn't get any action, and I thought the same thing. We went out to eat, and I looked at the TV, and I said, "Why are they showing an old game?" I said, "Oh yeah, that 9:30 game." I always forget. I need to set a thing on my phone or watch or something to watch those games. I always forget, but yeah, he did suit up, but he didn't have any stats at all. So
it was just weird not seeing the Jaguars in that game, because they played the past two London games.
The London Jaguars.
Yeah,
they've had a chance to do a lot of that. How was the fifth quarter call in the other night after the 31-10 loss to SMU on a Thursday? How late did you guys stay up?
2 o'clock.
Wow.
Here till 2. Show went 3 hours.
Wow.
And somebody asked me, are people still angry, or are they getting apathetic? And I would say people are still angry.
Oh yeah, I
people
think
are still
so.
upset.
Well, I think when you look at the whole picture, if the people aren't upset, that's when you got problems. Yeah. Now, obviously, some of the things that are being said, I don't agree with. Obviously, everybody wants to see this thing turned around. As I said to start my show today, the fact that the players and the coaches are the ones that are desperate, more desperate than anybody everybody else is. They've got more into it. And there are a lot of Pirate fans that have their money invested in it. And it takes a lot to go to a game. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of money. I mean, nobody's, faulting that. But it's just you have good years and bad years. And I think that maybe when you step back and look at everything that's going on this year, I think that Coach Houston will look at it and say he learned some things, too, about the transfer portal, about, trying to keep his team together, what he's going to do on offense. I mean, they still have some really difficult decisions to make later on offense, but they've still got to get this thing played out.
Yeah, and I mean, I know they're trying as hard as they can. One thing that upset me the other night was you're down 14, 6 minutes left to go, and it's 4th and 2, and you punt it. I don't understand it, and I won't understand it. I just didn't get that call at all. I don't know. That is waving the white flag at that point. Yeah, and that was a questionable deal as far as that goes. I mean, it's just because nobody on that sideline was waving in the white flag, but I guess the thinking was they still had time, but they didn't really. No. When you look at it, there wasn't that much time to figure things out and to get things straight. Charlotte comes to town. I did have a chance to watch the entire Charlotte Navy game, and I was really this is not your dad's Navy team at all. They don't run the same type option. Charlotte, whatever option Navy ran, Charlotte slammed the door on it. I know that Navy scored a touchdown on a long pass play, a slant that just broke open, and he ran for a touchdown. I think they ran a running play a long way. I think that came in the third quarter. But 14-0 was the final. Charlotte did not look very good to me. I don't think they're a very good football team coming to Greenville, but obviously they look at East Carolina and think they've got a chance in this one. Yeah, and Biff is going to do all he can to stay out of the basement of the American, and this would be how to get out of that basement, beat East Carolina. So they've probably had this game circled. And you mentioned to Coach Tesh about this and rivalries are organic. You can't just make them up and things like that. But I do feel like that as the years go on, hopefully both of these teams will be competitive. It will be nice to have an in-state team in this conference, and I think especially it'll be fun in basketball, I think, but football too. So I want to ask the players about that when we talk to them on Tuesday. Any added juice playing an in-state opponent that is now a conference rival. Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing that this Charlotte team, it gives you a chance as a football fan in the area to travel, to go to Charlotte, and I think that's a big plus. A conference game with a game you can travel to. I think next year East Carolina opens. I think we open at home against Norfolk State, and then don't we go to Old Dominion after that? But that's another game that you can travel to, and I think the ones that fans can travel to show their support. East Carolina always travels well, and this does not look to be a bowl season for East Carolina, but Pirates have had 2 straight bowls before this, and I think if you get a chance to travel to some of these games, I think it's important. Yeah, the schedule's not super attractive, but from a travel to standpoint, you got Norfolk State end of August, at Old Dominion first week of September, App State here, right, middle of September, and then the following week you get to travel again because you're at Liberty. Yeah, I forgot about the Liberty game. So it is a travel schedule. Yeah, travel-friendly schedule for next year, and I think that when you look at it, I mean, you look at it, from the outside of the game, there's 4 games you can win. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go 4-0, but they're certainly, because you looked at the schedule this year and you figured you could win the Marshall game, you figured you could win the Rice game, you figured you could win the App State game, and the Pirates had chances in all those, but just didn't come to be. East Carolina 1-5, playing host to the 49ers of Charlotte at 1-5, coming up at 2 o'clock. What kind of crowd do you think we'll get this week for homecoming? I think not a great one. I don't think it'll be great, but I think there'll be a lot. I think a lot depends on the weather. And somebody told me that it rains in the forecast, which I hope it's not. I don't think Charlotte will bring a lot of. I don't think so either. Yeah. I think that's something that you'll see. What do you think of Charlotte's coach? You call him Biff, but with the look that he gives, the sweatshirt look. What do you think of that? Though, is that a wife beater? Is that what that's called? I think it's more of a cutoff. Because it is a shirt that has lost its sleeve somewhere in the process. What do you think they lost? I think he's kind of a joke, but he's I don't know. He makes it about himself, and He put a bullseye on himself for no reason at all. So he's going to have to take it. Now, if he comes in here and win, he's going to be able to talk junk for a whole year. So good for him.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Not a fan of
What do you want to see this week out of East Carolina?
I don't know, Bailey.
Really?
I'm down. I've been saying it for 5-6 weeks. I want to see something different, but I don't think we have the personnel to do anything different. I don't know.
I think it starts up front with the offensive line, and I think that they're going to have, we keep saying you got to get the running game going, and the running game has been, pretty much non-existent. And I don't think you can go 1st and 10 and run it every time. I think you've got to do some variety there at some point.
Yeah. But you can't throw the ball either, so you can't. There's nothing. Like, you got to do something well. Right now, they're not doing anything well. They're not doing anything.
And I think if you block it better up front, and maybe you have to max protect, on passes and try to, get somebody, because I think we're still missing that big key, somebody to really fly through the secondary. Josiah Hatfield has shown flashes, but he's not. Jalen Johnson has shown flashes, but he's not consistent. I mean,
our best guy right now is Sowell, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I think Chase Sowell has really, and to his credit, some of us, myself included, at least once mispronounced his name because I was told it was Soul, but it's Sowell. It is Sowell. So, but Chase, he has been the best guy. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it has been. We take for granted, I think, just all the great receivers we've had, and just assume that one of them's going to pop up. Like last year, we didn't know who Winstead was, and he was a great player for us, and we just assumed, okay, somebody else will do it this year, and we just haven't had that happen.
And I think that's maybe part of the Pirate issue has been that the next man up mentality. But as we've gotten through this year, the next man up hasn't come through like those other next men up have come through. So I think that's been one of the issues. But hopefully they can begin the turnaround. There's still time, and there's plenty of football to be played, and nobody's throwing in the towel over there. That's for sure. It's one of those. It's hard to keep the faith when you see the same thing over and over, but then again, hopefully they can get this thing turned around. I think the one thing this team needs, whether it's Flynn, whether it's Mason Garcia, whoever it is, they need a little confidence. Somebody's got to be confident to go in that huddle and say, hey, here's the play we're going to run, here's how we're going to stick it to them, and here's how we're going to be successful with this play. And I just don't think that they've got that guy in there right now, and I think it's, and again, you've seen glimpses. You've seen glimpses of Mason, and you've seen glimpses of Alex, doing something like that. But it's just the consistency factor has been the big deal. So,
I'll say this, Bailey. Thank you for your shot of optimism because I'm out of it, and you are doing all you can to fire me and folks back up.
I've been through a lot lately, so I'm optimistic about just about anything. All right. I want to thank Roy Tesh, defensive tackles coach, for being with us today. Of course, I want to thank Chandler and Clip for being on with us to talk a little NFL football. We'll see you back here next week with another edition of The Brian Bailey Show. Pirates in Charlotte, 2 o'clock at Dowdy Ficklin Stadium this week.
This has been The Brian Bailey Show, powered by Greenville Utilities, and also brought to you by
The Angus Grill, Bostic Sugg, Bojangles, East Coast Grading, Gavigan Insurance, Greenville Auto World, Papa John's, Greenville Utility Company, Pepsi, The Rick House, Taft and Hagler, and Tiebreakers.
Join us next week for another edition of The Brian Bailey Show, right here on Pirate Radio. This is Pirate Radio, WGHB Farmville, 1250 at 92.7 FM Greenville, WDLX Washington.